Creative thinking. Creative thinking involves the originality and unusualness of ideas, the desire for intellectual novelty in solving problems, the capacity to view subjects and their potential applications from new angles, and the ability to generate ideas in uncertain situations. These aspects of creative thinking make our lives more interesting, comfortable, and bright. Not only is creative thinking useful in daily life, but it can also be applied in the workplace, especially when combined with inventiveness. Youngsters with vivid imaginations are more likely to be creative, making it critical to foster and expand their creativity. You can accomplish this by encouraging kids to read books where the main characters do surprising things and by letting them play games that involve making up stories. Conceptual thinking. Conceptual thinking involves understanding a situation or problem by putting together its parts and looking at the whole picture. This includes identifying patterns or connections between situations where relationships are not obvious and identifying key or hidden issues in complex situations. Conceptual thinkers work by thinking in terms of patterns, strategies, and paradigms, then applying these ideas to the real world. They may analyze a concept or structure and determine how best to apply it to the current environment. They are constantly analyzing the structures and processes behind real-life events. Empathic thinking. Empathic thinking is the capacity to comprehend another person's feelings, experiences, and point of view by placing oneself in their position. It is not just the ability to empathize with another person, but also the capacity to share that experience with them. Empathic thinking enhances communication, fosters emotional intelligence, and helps you understand those around you. It also facilitates interpersonal connections and can be helpful in various spheres of life, including psychology, medicine, education, and leadership. Intuitive thinking. Imagine you are a professional baseball player standing at the batter's mound. The pitcher turns and throws a fastball right at you. You have a split second to react, no time for conscious thought, but something amazing happens. Your body knows what to do without any deliberation. Your arms assume the correct position, and you make the perfect shot. Intuitive thinking is the ability to understand something quickly and easily without having to justify it logically or analytically. The conclusions and decisions that arise are based on intuition, that is, an inner feeling or hunch, rather than formal reasoning or logical conclusion. There are 4 types of intuitive thinking: cognitive, affective, analytical, and embodied. Associative thinking. The cognitive process of associative thinking involves memories and concepts coming together to form a delicate, intricate web of ideas. Put another way, it's the brain's capacity to make connections between concepts based on similarities and shared characteristics. Thinking in this way is critical to creativity, problem-solving, and decision-making. Associative thinking is intimately linked with imagination, the capacity to recognize patterns in seemingly disparate objects, and the development of figurative memory. Board games and frequent association chain training are good ways to foster associative thinking. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is a scientific way of thinking that involves both general and subject-specific reasoning and is used to address exceptional practical problems. It is defined by validity, controllability, self-organization, awareness, independence, reflexivity, and purposefulness. Developing a practice of asking lots of questions and looking for solutions on your own is the greatest way to teach critical thinking. Asking questions encourages critical thought as students evaluate and interpret data. Examine concepts, make hypotheses, and present arguments for their positions by responding to questions. Visual thinking. The foundation of visual thinking is the use of images, patterns, and spatial relationships to comprehend information. Diagrams, visual aids, and imaginary pictures are frequently utilized to understand and convey concepts. When we envision performing a task, the brain releases an impulse that causes neurons to fire, creating new neural pathways, clusters of brain cells that collaborate to form memories or learned behaviors, leading our bodies to behave as we picture them. The development of visual thinking requires consistent, deliberate, and extended engagement with pre-made visual thinking exercise materials. Visual arts pieces are a striking illustration of these kinds of resources. Auditory thinking. Auditory thinking is the capacity to reason and comprehend the environment using sound information. Compared to visual or kinesthetic thinkers, auditory thinkers often prefer using their auditory system for information processing. Important characteristics of auditory thinking include musicality and rhythmic understanding, a preference for oral communication, the ability to comprehend and recall information by ear, and the ability to analyze sound structures. Language and musical skills are common examples of auditory thinking, which is also helpful for learning foreign languages, music, audiobooks, and recordings. Logical thinking. Logical thinking is ingrained in human thought patterns, frequently employed at work, school, and other settings without even realizing it. The capacity to reason logically, precisely, consistently, and without running into logical problems is known as logical thinking. There are numerous ways to build logical thinking skills. For example, older kids enjoy puzzles, board games, crossword puzzles, and other types of rebuses. Modern kids also frequently use logic games on their devices to improve their logical thinking skills. Processing thinking. Processing thinking is the ability to systematically and sequentially analyze information, akin to how a computer processor operates. This type of thinking involves breaking down complex tasks into simpler components and processing them step by step. It's often associated with logical and analytical thinking, as it entails analyzing and structuring information in detail to solve problems. Those proficient in processing thinking can effectively work with numerical data, execute sequences of actions to achieve goals, and solve problems. This thinking style is valuable in various everyday situations, including problem solving and task planning. Systems thinking. Consistency, attention to detail, in-depth analysis of facts, and the ability to see both the specific and the broader picture are all fundamental aspects of systems thinking. It occurs when an event is perceived as a deliberate outcome rather than a random occurrence. You can always seek new opportunities to apply your knowledge, experience, and systems thinking skills to your social innovation projects, thereby enhancing your abilities in systems thinking. Additionally, examples of systems include companies, ecosystems, vehicles, and human beings. Analytical thinking. Analytical thinking is the capacity to assess a specific situation, evaluate available evidence, and make judgments based on the gathered information. It involves dissecting information into its constituent parts, organizing facts, and determining their relationships. Analytical thinking aids in problem analysis and solution discovery by breaking down and digesting complex data. It facilitates establishing links between various elements and discerning cause and effect relationships.